I think this is a massive story in sports media. Congratulations to Nick Khan, the WWE. They just got a seismic, extraordinary commitment from Netflix for WWE Raw. Now, I know some of you out there say, oh, I don't care about the WWE. It's wrestling, whatever. Millions of people care, all right? I was just ringside for WWE next to Jelly Roll. You may have seen me on Raw just probably like a couple of months ago, whatever the math was on that. And my kids love it. And I've been to several WrestleManias. I feel fortunate to have been to several of them. We have had a really, really good time going to these events. I grew up a wrestling fan. Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior. That was my era. My wife was at WrestleMania 3 when Hulk Hogan body slammed Andre the Giant. Like a lot of you who grew up in the 80s and the 90s, I was a big wrestling fan. Back in 2016, 7 years ago, I wrote that Netflix should go out and buy the WWE and they should go buy the UFC. I was right. They should have gone and bought the entirety of the WWE. They should have gone and bought the entirety of the UFC. I would rather own than rent. Right now, Sports Illustrated, trying to figure out whether or not they're going to sell Sports Illustrated. I would rather own SI than I would rent it. I have virtually no interest at all in renting any media property, right? I either want to own it, like I owned OutKick, I sold it, or I want to start something new. I don't have a lot of interest in renting somebody else's asset. It's just me. Everybody's different. So Nick Khan and the WWE gets $5 billion out of Netflix, 10-year, $500 million average per year to be carrying WWE Raw on Netflix. Massive deal. What we are seeing now, for much of the last decade, the question was, will Netflix, Amazon, or Apple ever get involved in buying sports rights? And now as we sit here, all three now own live sports rights. And this is, I think, potentially a further death knell for the ESPNs of the world and cable sports programming in general. Because Netflix, Apple, Amazon all have way more money. They're way bigger than any of the media companies are. CBS, $15 billion market cap, I think. Let me look these up right now, just to kind of contextualize for you what we're talking about, because I don't think a lot of people even really understand this. So let me try to break it down simply for you. Okay, so, and I'm a shareholder in a bunch of these companies, so I'm not like taking shots at them, but Paramount Global is right now a $9 billion company. $9 billion company. Not tiny, but Paramount Global owns CBS, which distributes a lot of sports through the CBS television network. Warner Brothers Discovery owns Turner, TNT, those kind of companies. $25 billion market cap, just shy of $26 billion market cap. Let's see, Fox. Fox right now, right at a $15 billion market cap. That's where you're going to watch the NFC Championship game this weekend. CBS, I believe, has the AFC Championship game. So $25 billion combined for Fox and CBS when it comes to their market cap. Disney is bigger, but still not that big. Disney owns ESPN and ABC, $171.5 billion. Comcast is bigger. Comcast owns NBC, $176 billion market cap. Okay, those are bigger companies. But Apple, $3 trillion market cap. Let me repeat that. Apple has a $3 trillion market cap. Every sports outlet that I just talked about, the parent companies, Paramount, Warner Brothers, Fox, Comcast, and Disney, All 5 of those companies combined are 1/10, basically, as big as Apple by itself. Apple is 10 times as big as all of these other sports media companies. Okay, so Apple is worth $3 trillion. And then we've got, what are the others? Amazon. Let's see what Amazon's market cap is right now. Amazon's market cap, 1.6 trillion. Okay, Netflix's market cap is smaller, but still pretty substantial. Let me figure out Netflix's market cap as I sit here talking to you right now. Netflix, as we speak, has a market cap of $200 billion. Okay? So Netflix is more akin to Comcast and Disney than the others. But what this is basically letting you know is whatever Apple wants, Apple can buy. Whatever Amazon wants, Amazon can buy, unless they're competing against Apple. That's the only company that can really compete with them. Why is all of this significant? By the way, Google as well, right? I should toss in Google as well on this. All 4 of them are massive, and all 4 of them have now made the decision that they are going to get involved in sports rights. So Google is worth 1.845 trillion at the current market cap. Okay, so why do I bring that up? Think about what's happened in the last few years. Google, through YouTube, now has the NFL Sunday Ticket. Right? They are YouTube, the rights holder for the NFL Sunday Ticket. Amazon has just partnered with the regional sports networks, but Amazon has Thursday Night Football now. Apple has the MLS with a big deal they did with Messi and probably some other things. I'm not even sure what else Apple has, but they were bidding on the Pac-12 networks, everything else. And now you've got Netflix going in with the WWE. All of them now, all 4 of these companies now have sports rights and live sports rights. Some people say, well, Netflix had Drive to Survive. They had they put their toe in the market with the PGA Tour show, with the F1 show. But those are reality television shows. It's really not that much different. To now take on live programming with Raw means that in the space of the past few years, Google, Apple, Amazon, and Netflix have all made a decision to step into the sports rights marketplace. And there's talk that they're going to get involved with the NBA going forward. This is a major issue for CBS, Fox, ABC, and NBC and their subsidiary properties. I think what's going to happen, and I've been saying this for some time, the big tech companies, in my opinion, maybe I need to write a long column on this, but the big tech companies that are getting involved in producing content should go buy the networks. Let me give you an interesting anecdote. You know what CBS did when the writer strike was going on? They decided to put Yellowstone on the CBS network. You know what happened? The ratings for Yellowstone were phenomenal. Turns out lots of people that would really like Yellowstone had no idea it existed until they saw it start airing on CBS. Why would Amazon, for instance, or Netflix, or any of these, or Apple, why would they not buy these television networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, and not start advertising past seasons of their streaming services, streaming shows, by putting them on network television to overall increase the amount of viewership for those programs and help to lead to more subscribers for their streaming services? Some of you out there, you're like, that's interesting. And there's a precedent for this year based on how Yellowstone did. But also it's the legacy of what happened with Netflix. You know why Breaking Bad got so much more popular every year? Because a lot of people caught up on Breaking Bad on Netflix, and then they watched it live on AMC as they were catching up with the seasons. Why not take past season, like the morning show? I haven't watched the morning show yet on Apple. I'm told it's really good. Why would Apple not buy Fox, get the entire Fox network, the lot, but then start putting the morning show on Fox as an advertisement for Apple's streaming service? For all of the Amazon Prime shows that they have, why would you not work in a symbiotic fashion with all of the television networks putting old shows, past seasons? What's really popular on Amazon right now? Reacher, right? The new Jack Reacher show. Why would they not put Jack Reacher Season 1 on a television network to advertise for Jack Reacher Season 2? And then when Jack Reacher Season 2 is over, why wouldn't they put that on television to advertise for Season 3? In other words, use your library of older shows that you've been producing to help advertise for the new seasons of your streaming service so that more people become fans of those shows. I guarantee you there are a lot of people who saw Yellowstone on CBS that now are going to be interested in the next iteration of Yellowstone that otherwise were not aware of the show on streaming. It's hard to cut through all of the noise and promote something and make it a monstrous hit, a gargantuan success. Why wouldn't you use every promotional vehicle available to you when you could buy the CBS's, the NBC's, the Fox, the ABC's of the world for relatively small amounts of money and advertise your existing properties? I'll say the same thing for Netflix. Netflix is a streaming company. How many people have never watched Stranger Things that if Stranger Things started getting put season 1 on ABC, you tell me that people wouldn't go crazy for being able to watch the next season? You know what I'm talking about? I think that there is so much opportunity right now. And I said this when 2024 started, that it felt to me like 2024 was going to be a year of seismic change in media. But, again, I was right 7 years ago. I would look like a genius if I had been Netflix's CEO and if I had gone out and bought the WWE outright and the UFC outright. Can you imagine if Netflix had every UFC fight and every WWE event as a part of its overall subscription? You didn't have to pay for the Royal Rumble. You didn't have to pay for WrestleMania. You didn't have to pay for UFC 268 or whatever number we're on. It was all embedded within your Netflix bill, and you were able to let's say Netflix jumped the cost $5 a month. It would have paid for itself billions of dollars over and over and over again. And you would own the outlet as opposed to paying $5 billion to rent WWE Raw from WWE. Now, I'm a longtime WWE shareholder. You go back on my Twitter feed a decade ago, I was telling you to buy WWE at $10 a share. I don't know. It's now merged with UFC. I don't know. It's like $100 a share or something now, $90 a share. I'm not even sure exactly what the price is, up $15 today. But this, to me, is a crucible moment in media where a lot of the methods of distribution I would want to own, to say nothing of the fact that you would then get all of the rights that Fox or ABC or NBC or CBS have already acquired. Can you imagine if, let's say, Netflix bought Comcast or at least NBC Universal from Comcast, and suddenly all of the Olympics were distributed live on Netflix? There's too many streaming services right now, and so they're going to be merging together. But sports, I think, could be a key component of this going forward. You know, there's talk that Warner Brothers and Paramount might merge. I just think there's a lot of assets out there that it makes a tremendous amount of sense for people to go out and start buying. and I think I'm ahead of the curve a little bit in thinking about this. Like, again, I was writing about WWE and Netflix getting bought by WWE and UFC getting bought by Netflix like 7 years ago. It was a no-brainer to me. I was right. Now they're renting WWE content for $5 billion. When I wrote about it back in 2016, they could have bought the entire WWE for $2.5 billion and owned it forever. Just felt like a no-brainer. I still think a lot of these assets make a lot of sense going forward. What do we got here? 50 million people watch Chiefs-Bills. To me, this just ties in with this. Congratulations, NFL audiences continue to grow. Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes really is kind of a modern-day version of Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady, with obviously Patrick Mahomes as Tom Brady and Josh Allen in the Peyton Manning role, never quite able to get over the hump and win the big championship. We'll see whether Lamar Jackson can get to the Super Bowl this Sunday or not. We'll talk about this tomorrow. Kelly in Vegas and I will. But to me, this is a overall analysis of where things are going. That game aired on what, CBS? You could buy the CBS television, the entire Paramount brand, for like $10 billion. Maybe it cost you $13 billion. But you get all the NFL games. If you're interested, why would you not want to do that? And then you can advertise all of your programming, streaming, to help get people to sign up. I just see it as a no-brainer. It seems like it's a really great fit. The puzzle pieces just go together. It also means that cable and satellite's going to be super challenged even more, right? Live sports is going to end up, I think, in streaming. Maybe it takes a decade, but all live sports is going to streaming. I think that's where we're headed, whether you like it or not. The only real outlier is going to be news, because I don't think, right now at least, Netflix or Amazon or Apple want to get involved in the actual news business, because I don't think they want to have to pick a side, right? I don't think they want to have to be in the goal of determining what's true and false. So I think like the Fox News, MSNBC, CNNs of the world are going to have really strong brands. The question of how they're distributed will be intriguing as the cable and satellite bundle continues to decline. But I do think the value of properties like the NFL is going to increase, and maybe the best way to unlock that value in the short term is to actually buy the television networks that already have the rights here. Or you can wait like a decade and just be able to pay way more for those rights than these other outlets are able to pay potentially. Yesterday, I talked about the fact that WWE had signed a $5 billion deal with Netflix. Next 10 years, $500 million a year. Netflix is going to be carrying WWE Raw. It's a seismic, transformative addition on the media landscape. And to me, what stands out here in a big way is the reaction that we are seeing. Netflix also announced that their overall earnings were up. Subscribers were up substantially. They are really rolling in a way that Netflix was not for a couple of years, when it looked like everybody was suddenly going to challenge Netflix's throne when everybody decided to jump into the streaming business. Netflix is up 12% today, as I'm talking to you right now at about 11:20 a.m. Eastern. Nearly $60 a share. So, again, over 12% and over $20 billion in market cap. So I want to put this into context for everybody out there. Netflix today on the stock market is doubling the size of Paramount, which owns CBS, which has the Paramount streaming network. This is a big company, big media company. Paramount right now is valued at, at around $9 billion total dollars. So just today, standing alone, Netflix is doubling the size of Paramount. Remember, Paramount was supposed to be one of the competitors that's out there trying to compete. Paramount right now, $9 billion market cap. Okay, roughly today, Netflix is adding a market cap that is about the same as Warner Brothers Discovery. That's CNN's owner. That is the HBO's owner. Think about how crazy that is. Netflix today is growing in market cap by the same size as the entire Warner Brothers Corporation. It's like they just added Warner Brothers to Netflix. And I work at Fox. Fox right now is a market cap of right around $14 billion. So in the space of a day, Netflix is basically adding Fox, and they're basically adding Paramount, and they're basically growing by the same amount as Warner Brothers. The streaming wars are over. Netflix won them. And what you're now starting to see is some of these other streamers are starting to license their shows back to Netflix as a default, just kind of acknowledgement that they're not going to be able to compete in the streaming wars in the same way. Maybe Disney is going to compete. I have my serious questions about whether or not that is going to occur. Disney has lost $11 billion so far in streaming. Maybe Disney Plus is going to be at some point viable. I kind of think that we're going to end up with maybe 3 streaming services, and 3 might be an exaggeration. And remember, Netflix is still the only one that has ever made money. And I said this from the get-go. You can't compete in streaming with one foot in the cable and satellite bundle, because effectively you are destroying the cable and satellite bundle when you're competing in streaming. And the reason why I'm a Netflix shareholder and why I have owned Netflix stock for a while now is because I looked at it and I said their only business is streaming. They're going to triumph here. And they're still the only streaming company that has ever made money. And again, I understand some of you out there, you don't really conceptualize. The market today is growing Netflix by more than Fox and Paramount together are worth as a company. That's pretty crazy. Because remember, Fox and Paramount, CBS is owned by Paramount, have a huge percentage of the overall NFL rights, for instance. So Netflix getting into WWE, at some point I think Netflix will decide to get into live sports beyond just WWE. I really do. There may be a future where, for instance, the Netflix, just like the Comcast Universal, the Peacock, is streaming their own versions of NFL playoff games. And again, ESPN, CBS, NBC, Fox, they're all pinpricks compared to Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, all of these major outlets. Pretty wild to think about. I mean, it's not crazy to say Netflix may be headed towards, in the next few years, becoming another $1 trillion company. I know their market cap right now is only around $600 billion, but that's triple effectively the size of Disney now. And again, just to put it into context, adding more market cap than Paramount and Fox combined are worth in one day is pretty staggering.